The detention of Gonzalo Lira deals another severe blow to press freedom in Ukraine. Gonzalo Lira, a US-Chilean national living in Kharkiv, was recently apprehended by the Ukrainian Security Service, SBU, on suspicion of harboring pro-Russian sentiments. This is not the first time that Lira has faced arrest by the SBU. He is an author and filmmaker who has made Kharkiv his home for several years and married a Ukrainian. His initial detention in April 2022 resulted in his release after a week without any charges. Following this, he was instructed not to leave the city and was prohibited from discussing his arrest. According to Ukrainian media, the SBU alleges that Lira has publicly endorsed Russia's armed aggression, denied or celebrated alleged Russian war crimes, and weakened Ukraine's highest military and political leadership and defense forces. The SBU website issued a report on May 5th, in which they announced the detention of a foreign blogger in Kharkiv, who allegedly denied the crimes committed by the Russian Federation and offended Ukrainian defenders. According to the SBU, Lira was quick to praise the Russian invaders and glorify their war crimes. Additionally, he is accused of defaming Ukraine's military political leadership and defense forces. The SBU alleges that Lira filmed deliberately provocative videos featuring Ukrainian defenders and insulted them. Lira, a prominent YouTube and Telegram content creator, boasted almost 300,000 subscribers where he disseminated his streams. Despite evidence of Russian missile attacks on Ukrainian cities and the mass murder of civilians by Russian forces, Lira vehemently denied their existence. Consequently, the SBU notified Lira of suspicion under Parts 2 and 3 of Article 436, 2 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine for manufacturing and distributing materials containing justification of the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, committed repeatedly. During March 2022, the Ukrainian parliament passed a set of 14 laws aimed at countering Russian aggression. 2 of these laws involve amending information activity legislation. The first law prohibits mass media from legitimizing or justifying Russia's armed aggression in Ukraine and the occupation of its territories. The second law forbids the glorification of individuals involved in the aggression or administration of occupied areas. The criminal code in Ukraine has been revised to include 2 new articles that address threats or insults directed at military personnel and their families, as well as the denial or justification of Russian military aggression and the occupation of Ukrainian territories. Article 435, 1 is focused on the former, while Article 436, 2 is focused on the latter. Depending on the nature of the offence, penalties range from a maximum of 6 months in detention to a maximum of 8 years in prison. Lira's arrest was captured by the SBU with heavily armed agents involved. The faces of everyone except Lira's were obscured in the footage. The video also featured an unblurred close-up of Lira's children displayed on a smartphone screensaver. Currently, Lira is being detained on suspicion of producing and disseminating materials that justify Russia's armed aggression against Ukraine. The edited footage depicts special forces with guns drawn, knocking on Lira's door and confronting the 55-year-old man in his pajamas. As the metal soundtrack from Override Sped Up fades, the words of a Special Forces member can be heard telling Lira, while tapping his arm, "Welcome to Ukraine." Although Lira has voiced his disapproval of the Zelensky regime and Kyiv's 8-year-long shelling of Donbas inhabitants, he has only exercised his right to free speech as a responsible journalist and citizen. Even if we do not share his views, we must uphold the fundamental right of freedom of expression, particularly during periods of tension. These are the principles we affirm to safeguard. Ukraine's recent enactment of laws that criminalize any form of dissent, ban opposition political parties, nationalize the media, and persecute the Ukrainian Orthodox Church for its links with Moscow, has caused alarm among free speech advocates. Criticism of these actions has been centered around the fear that they undermine democratic principles and have a negative impact on freedom of expression, creating an environment of censorship and fear. The recent apprehension of Gonzalo Lira highlights the fragility of balancing national security with individual freedoms, particularly in times of war. This occurrence also brings to the fore doubts about the Zelensky administration's commitment to democratic values and the duty of its Western supporters to address such apprehensions. As the situation in Ukraine evolves, it is essential for the global community to remain watchful in promoting and safeguarding freedom of expression and other essential rights, while ensuring that governments are answerable for their actions. Throughout the ongoing Ukraine conflict, news outlets and politicians in the West have consistently failed to acknowledge or intentionally withheld information about undemocratic, criminal, corrupt, and wartime wrongdoing by the Ukrainian faction. Instead, they have focused their attention on highlighting similar wrongdoings by the Russian side. Gonzalo Lira, a Chilean-American writer, filmmaker, and financial analyst, was born on November 29, 1972, in Santiago, Chile. Although he spent significant time in the United States, he is recognized for his creative works as a screenwriter, director, and novelist, in addition to his financial expertise in the areas of economics and investment strategy. Author Lira boasts a rich repertoire of literary works such as Counterparts, Acrobat, and Gegenspieler. He is an active presence on YouTube, where he disseminates his views on politics and social issues. Additionally, Lira is a frequent guest on the highly regarded Mother of All Talk shows, Moats, hosted by George Galloway. Lira is known for his bold and unreserved style, which has garnered both admiration and criticism from different groups of people. Even with his polarizing views, he has managed to build a devoted fan base who value his honesty and knowledge. With a Twitter, YouTube, and Telegram presence, Lira's following has grown to over 300,000. On April 22nd, in his final tweet, he listed the names of various Ukrainian dissidents who had been arrested or killed by the Kiev regime. The list of individuals included Volodymyr Struk, a Ukrainian politician abducted and killed in March 2022 during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and Denis Kiriv, a Ukrainian official executed in the street shortly after his attendance at the first round of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in Belarus. To support our channel's growth and ensure broader awareness, kindly hit the like and subscribe buttons. This will help us reach more individuals and disseminate valuable information. Thank you in advance.